Hey guys, Lord Garmadon here. Welcome back to my podcast. I know it's been a while since I've released another one of these. We've been pretty busy. So we're coming on down to the final days on set. It is almost finished. At last. It has been months. This has been a long haul. And at last, I think we can finally say Tales from the Book is almost done. The animation process, at least. Which that's good because, well, I'm not necessarily getting sick of it, but it's been a lot, and I think we all kind of need a break. So I was gonna open fan mail today, but I kind of thought I'd do something different. So instead, I'm gonna tell you about this this memory of mine. This is a very weird memory, so let's just get down into it. So when I was 5, we went to the Grand Canyon. And this is weird. You first off, do not go to the Grand Canyon. It was like 90 fucking degrees out, and my God, it was hot. I was sweating. My dad was pissed. My mom was pissed. My brother was pissed. We were all just pissed, and it was hot. We were out of water, and we were in this tour guide. It was just boring too. Like, now I'm not just saying that because I was a little kid and I thought it was boring. No, it was just generally lame. The guy was uninterested. He was like a math teacher. Like, you all remember that math teacher who sucked ass in high school? That was this guy, but he was a tour guide. And so we went to the Grand Canyon. We got to the gift shop. My favorite part was the gift shop, obviously. And so I bought this paperweight, and I still have it to this day. Now, what the funny part is, on the way home from the Grand Canyon, we had to stop at a restaurant, to eat dinner, because we were driving back to the hotel, and we stopped at this place. It was this weird, I guess it was a diner. It was really, grunge themed, so, I was too young to really understand it, so I wasn't really into it. It kind of scared me. I'm into that stuff now, so it doesn't scare me anymore. But I just remember this place. It was so weird. There was this live performance. It was just weird. I just remember being so weirded out, and my dad got so upset because the music we were right next to it. He got up and he screamed at them to turn off the fucking music, and they didn't. They kept performing, obviously. And that just made him even more pissed. He didn't tip the waitress. It was a mess. Then I spilled my drink everywhere and on my new shirt, and oh no, it was just bad. Now, what is the relevance of this story? I have no idea. I just think of it a lot. I just a day doesn't go by where I don't think of that story, and I just kind of wanted to share it with you all. Now, I do have a better story. When I was in my teens, we took a trip to Europe and we went to Paris. Now, I wasn't really a gambling man back then, I'm not really. But anyhow, my dad was like, oh yeah, there's plenty of French chicks out here. And I was like, Dad, leave me alone. So I was not really interested. I kind of just wanted to go to France. I like France. Not my favorite country in the world, but it was alright. So we went to the Eiffel Tower and we climbed it. Well, we didn't actually climb it. We went to the top, in the elevator. And there was this woman up there, this 85-year-old woman. And the second we got up there, she started screaming at us. Now, why does this connect to the other story? Well, the second she started screaming at me, it reminded me of the time when my dad screamed at the live performers. And I didn't mention this. We actually got kicked out of the restaurant. We didn't actually really get to eat. We got kicked out and we had to go to Burger King. I like Burger King. I was fine with that. My mother wasn't. She was really upset. Anyhow, this woman started screaming at us in French, and I wasn't taking French at the time. I was taking German, and so I had no idea what she was saying. My mother took on a little French when she was in school. I don't think she really knew what she was saying, and this is before the age of Duolingo, so we didn't just magically know all these languages. So it was kind of a really weird experience, and there was some French people around us, and they turned to this woman, and they started, I think they were trying to calm her down. Eventually it dawned on us that she wasn't screaming at us, she was screaming at something else, and we just happened to, be in the vicinity when she just randomly started screaming. I think she was, mentally ill or something, I don't know. Pretty sure she was screaming, fucking shit at us or whatever, I don't know, I do not know. Honestly, I have no idea why she did that. Later that day, my dad actually had a breakdown. He had a breakdown of this cab driver because he was trying to scam us. And I thought of the time he was screaming. I don't know why that just stuck with me so much. Just whenever somebody really started, whenever we were on a trip and someone started screaming, I just always would think of the time when my dad had a breakdown at that restaurant. Why? Well, I don't know why. This is a more relevant one back to home. So at one point, when I was 16, we went on this, like, American road trip over the summer. God, it was awful. But, what else? Yes. So we went to New York. I love New York City. I've lived in New York for some time. I fucking love New York City. I mean, I don't love it, but I like the city. I can't deny it. I got a New York state of mind. But anyhow, we went to Ellis Island, and my dad was like, we're gonna look for our like, immigrant family, like our ancestors in the computer bank. And I was like, oh, come on, Dad, what did you really? Because, like, I was like, I was 16 at the time. I mean, I cared, but I wanted to get to the gift shop, and this machine was in the gift shop. So I was like, sweet, I get to go to the gift shop. And so we went to the gift shop, and there was this man at the machine, and he was just standing there, and my dad was like, can you please move? We'd like to figure out our ancestry. He was like, no, I'm fixing the machine. He was not fixing the machine. He was not doing anything. He did not have any gear, equipment. He didn't even have, like, a uniform. I was just, no, I'm fixing the machine. And my dad said, no, you're not. Please move. And he said, no. So then my dad started raising his voice. And, of course, I thought at the time the restaurant game, that's irrelevant. Meanwhile, I was scoping around the gift shop, and there was this girl I saw. Now, I didn't, back in the day, like I said, I was not no rambling man. I was what you would call a socially awkward dork, you know. So anyhow, I said hello to her, she said hello to me, you know, stuff like that, blah, blah, blah. And then my dad started unloading on this guy. And this girl turned around and she's like, wow, your dad's really upset at my dad. And I was like, oh my gosh. I started apologizing. You're like, I'm so sorry, my dad does this all the time. And she's like, no, it's okay. And she asked me, so what's your name? I said, my name's Garmadon. She's like, oh, that's such a wonderful name. Her name was Penelope. I honestly do not think the name matched her at all, personally. That's just me. I mean, I only knew her for 3 days, and we never spoke again, and never seen her again in my whole life, but honestly, that's a really bullshit name to give somebody like this. She was what you would call a goth girl. Now, those are not very big anymore, I've noticed. I think that's really fallen out of style. Anyhow, she was one of these goth girls, and I was kind of gothing myself. I was like, I was starting to think to myself, what we got here? Anyhow, I was like, oh, I'm so sorry, my dad, he doesn't know how to control himself. And he was like, no. Then her dad started going. It was kind of funny. We started laughing. My brother, Woo, was over in, like, the corner, like, screwing around, doing Lord knows what. And we started talking. I was like, you want to, like, I don't know, we went on a walk. You want to go on a walk? And I was like, sure. So we went on a walk. And we talked a little. She told me about some stuff she did. She really liked to write poetry. And she had written one about Ellis Island. And I read it. No, it was bullshit. I mean, I never took a class on poetry, but this was, no offense, Penelope, wherever you are, this was not a great poem. I mean, it wasn't great, and thankfully she knew it wasn't great. She was like, I'm sorry, this isn't one of my best work, I kind of just threw it together on the fly. She had never shown me any of her other poems, which kind of disappointed me, because I was kind of like, okay, maybe show me some other work, but then she never did. Yes, and so we got back from our walk. Our mom was like, oh, who's your friend? I was like, this is Penelope, I met her. And my dad was instantly like, oh, where'd you meet this girl? My dad wasn't necessarily old-fashioned, but I don't think he really wanted me hanging out with this goth chick. And I was like, oh yeah, this is Penelope, I met her. And then being me, an absolute idiot, I said, you were screaming at her dad. And he was like, what? Oh, I'm so sorry. That was actually the best thing. One of the best decisions I've ever said in my life was to tell my dad that he had a breakdown at Penelope's father was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Let me buy you this." So he bought her all this stuff at the gift shop. And then her dad came out. He apologized. They shook hands. Had like a little man bro moment. Yada yada yada. And we went our separate ways. Well, later that night we were having dinner. We were going to see a Broadway show in the evening, but first we went to dinner, and I was like, oh man, I couldn't stop thinking about Penelope, and then I looked around, and oh my gosh, there she was in the restaurant, and I was like, I gestured to her, and she came over, and I was like, what are you doing here? And she was like, oh, my dad, he works here. I was like, he works here? And I'm like, yeah, he owns the restaurant. I was like, what, you work as a tourist? She was like, no, I work here. It was like, you work here? I'm a waitress. I was like, whoa, hey, after your shift, you want to come like to Broadway with me? Because we had an extra ticket because Woo had gotten sick and he was back in the hotel room because, you know, he drank the water. When you're on vacation, you shouldn't drink the water. He got horribly sick. And so she was like, sure. My dad was like, sure. My mom was like, fine. And so we did. And her dad was fine with it, so we went. It was quite interesting. We saw Les Mis. I don't know if you've ever seen Les Mis. It was intense. It was pretty good. I'm not a huge musical theater man, but it was alright. I mean, I enjoyed it. Penelope really seemed to enjoy it. She talked to me. And during intermission, we went on a walk together, romantic shit like that, you know. And like, it was pretty interesting. I just remember it so much, but it gets better. The next day, I woke up in our hotel room. My dad was like, so we have to leave early. And he was like, why do we have to leave early? He was like, because Woo was getting sick out of his mind. He was like, he had contracted like the flu or something. So I was like, oh shit, I've got to say goodbye to this girl. So I was like, oh man, this is my only chance. So I had to go back to the restaurant. So I caught a cab and went back, but she wasn't there. Apparently, she was on break. And so it's like, where is she on break? And she was like, at the pier. I was like, oh no. I knew this was going to get some romantic like shit. And like, oh man, I didn't want to do this. But I was like, fine. So I said, driver, to the pier. And the driver drove me to the pier. And there she was. And it was, what follows next is a very strange scenario, which I'd like you to take with a pinch of salt. So, there she was, in all her glory, sitting on the pier, and I walked over, said, hi, how's it going? She said, good, how about you? And I said, we have to leave, because my brother, Woo, he's really sick. And she said, I'm sorry. So I asked her how her day was, whatever, and I was like, so, I knew I had to go. I had to make this quick, and I kind of just wanted the situation to end because of how awkward I was. I was like, so could I have like your address so I could like send you letters or something? And she said, no. And I said, oh, I kind of thought we had something. So I was like, could I have like a picture of you to keep? She said, sure. So she pulled out one of herself. This is really weird. I don't know who carries pictures of yourself around. I mean, I do, because I have like my fans. Signed or whatever. It was like, thank you. That was kind of weird. I was going to like just take a picture of her, you know. Anyhow, so I was like, why can't I have your address? I was just generally curious. She said, well, we move around a lot. And I said, oh, you move around a lot? What do you mean? She said, well, my dad's actually a part of the mafia. And I said, the mafia? So apparently her dad was part of the mafia. The restaurant was covered up with the mafia. She explained how she hates her life, and apparently she hates her dad, and her dad hates her, and that she'd love to run away, but she can't because she's afraid that she'll get shot. And I said, wow. I didn't know what to say. I was not expecting that at all, needless to say, and so I was like, why don't you just run away with me? And she said, no, that's a bullshit idea. And I said, yeah, you're right. That is kind of a bullshit idea. And so I said to her, why does your dad do it? And she said, I don't know why. Probably for the money. And I was like, I'm sorry. This is so weird. I didn't know what to say. I couldn't relate. I mean, I didn't really love my family. Like, anybody really... Well, you know what I mean. But, I couldn't really relate to this, mafia stuff. So I was like, geez, is there anything I can do to make you feel better? She said, not really, no. Apparently she told me she was really sad. Apparently she's never really been able to make friends because of this or anything. So, she told me she was trying to protect me. And I was like, wow. I felt honored that she was trying to protect me. But then again, I kind of felt kind of betrayed. But at the same time, it wasn't Penelope's fault. So I got up, said I had to go. She said it's okay. I asked her, do you think we'll ever see each other again? She said, probably not. She told her that they're going to move, that they're moving. Maybe even out of country next. I said, wow, I really felt bad for her. Then I asked her, what do you want to do with your life? And she said, I don't know. Apparently she wanted to be I think she wanted to be like a zoologist or something really random. I was like, okay, cool. I told her I wanted to be a writer. This is back when I wanted to be a writer. I wrote a lot of poetry and stuff. I liked acting, but this is before I really was like, I want to be an actor. Before Garmadon was an actor, he was a writer. I have a few really weird short stories in magazines I got published. If you want to go read them and have your brains blown out by just, then go ahead and do it. But I'm not encouraging you. They're not anything good or anything. They're kind of weird. Well, not in a good way though. Kind of weird in a bad way. Anyhow, so she was like, well, goodbye, and I was like, wait, could I write about you? Like, in one of my poems, my stories, she said, sure. She just said, don't include it in the mafia stuff. And I was like, okay. So, years later, I did, actually, one of my short stories includes a character called Penelope. It's a very short story. It's very, very similar to this. It's basically just a retelling of my situation, but from a different point of view. And, in it, of course, it's dramatized. It's full of, like, sex and stuff, and it's only, like, I don't know, like, a few, maybe 10, 15 magazine pages long at if. It was one of my longer ones, but I published them in these weird magazines. It was back when I was, like, in school. Oh, man. Anyhow, we said goodbye. We didn't, like, kiss or anything. Kind of just said goodbye and walked away. Later that day, I kept thinking about her in the car, and then when we finally got out of the city and got to a hospital, because we didn't want to go to a city hospital for some reason, Lord knows why, my mother was persistent on it, I just sat in the waiting room thinking of her, and I just kept getting sad, and so sad. I just felt so much sympathy for her. It's indescribable, and I think about her almost every day, and where Penelope is now, and I ask myself, why? Why didn't I try to help her? Who knows what happened to her, if she's even still alive? I don't know. Anyhow, well, that's one Garmadon story. I'll tell you a better one. This is a more happy one. So, this is one from when I was in a grad school. This is kind of about writing one of my stories. So, I took this class on, editorial class. It was kind of weird. This, editorial class, how to write and edit your own, essentially write and edit your own stories. But it was more or less trying to focus you on like an editor, more or less, that type of job. And this is when I was starting to really have a falling out with this writing and getting much more into filmography. And so I was like, it was weird. So one day the teacher asked, I want each of you to prepare a story to present to the class. And I was like, okay. And so I wrote this bizarre story. Very bizarre. It's about this man with multiple different perspectives. It was not really two-faced, three-faced man. More or less just he saw multiple different things at once. He lived in he lived on Earth. But it was like Earth, it never said when, and you couldn't really tell when either, and I got deducted points from that because apparently it was too confusing. I, on the other hand, thought the story was just fine. I thought it was quite interesting. I purposely wrote it to be confusing. I mean, not confusing, but more or less just complicated. I don't think we need to dumb it down. When we dumb things down, it just makes it stupid, and nobody wants to read a dumbed down stupid thing unless you are stupid. I'm not trying to insult anyone's intelligence. I'm just simply saying that as a writer, I never tried to take the easy route. I always tried going deep. I've always tried going deep. I don't care if it takes longer. But it gives me a satisfying feeling when I've written something or done something and I know I really tried. And that's something that I know a lot of people don't really necessarily do, which I think is a shame, because a lot of people nowadays I don't think have a passion. And I still have a passion. You don't meet many passionate people anymore, which I think is a loss. And you're not gonna really, without a passion, I mean, how do you expect to get anywhere in life? Really, like how does one expect to get anywhere? Even to the gas station back for your cigarettes. Like, gotta have a passion to smoke, but a lot of people just smoke to smoke. And I don't even get that. No, anyhow, so I wrote this story and presented to the class, and the teacher was like, had me read a bit of it, and the teacher was like, this is confusing. He was confused, and he was like, I had to tell him, hey, it's supposed to be multiple different perspectives. He asked, is it a reflection of yourself? And I said, no, not really. And the teacher said, well, it seems like you're trying to get at a reflection of yourself or society. And I said to him, No, I'm not. It really was just some mumbo-jumbo garbage. I like to write about that type of stuff, sure, but that was really just some shit I threw together. Like, I write about some guy who has multiple different perspectives, and boom, it was done. And he told me that it seemed very reflective, and I said, no, it's not supposed to be reflective. It's not supposed to be anything. It's not supposed to be taken seriously. This is supposed to be a stupid, quick little thing that's just supposed to make you think, like, it's supposed to make you think, gee, I'm glad I'm not this asshole. He wasn't a nice character either. He was a jerk. At one point, he kills somebody, and he doesn't feel bad about it because he thinks that everyone else is in the same situation, has like the same, I don't know what you would say, the same senses he has. So he thinks everybody else can see multiple different perspectives at once, and they can't, and that's how he ends up killing this person. He's like, oh, that's too bad. I thought they would be able to have all my senses and not have let themselves get killed, pretty much. And that's not really nice, and my professor thought it was a reflection of myself, and I told him, no, I do not think like this, and he didn't believe me. And I got a low grade on the thing because he thought I wasn't admitting to it. He thought I was trying to deny it, which that upset him, and so I got a low grade on it, and that was one of the ends of that class. I never really tried nearly as hard for that class anymore after that. It was kind of just downhill from there. Then that was a weird semester too, because that was when my mom died, and that was not a good time. When my mom died, Wu got really, really mad, and he took it out on me. He typically Wu blamed a lot of stuff on me, and he took it out on me, and I was like, and I couldn't do anything about it because I obviously had not brought about our mother's death, and for some reason he just was bestowed of the fact that it was somehow Garmadon's fault, and he took it out of me, had breakdowns, this and that, the other thing, and it's just like, Wu, I didn't do this to you intentionally. I didn't do this to you at all. And to this day, I still do not think he gets it that I didn't kill her. Because I didn't. It's stupid to think I would. I don't know why I would. I don't know how I would have. And I didn't. And it's not like it's a crime scene. She just died of old age. And Wu just lost it. My father wasn't even that upset. It was weird. My mother was, I don't know, it's just hard to explain. I don't know why Wu never... It's like he never matured, almost. It's like he just always assumed I was out to get him, almost, and I don't really know why. It's weird because a lot of people try to point to that in like Toast the Book and stuff, and really anything, even in Jago or a lot of the stuff I've acted in, they try to point to that, and it's really just a bunch of coincidence, the similarity of our characters we portray and our real life personas. It truly just is a coincidence. And sometimes I think Wu doesn't realize that. Sometimes I think he thinks it's somehow destiny and fate. I don't know. I don't believe in destiny or fate. I don't believe in luck either. You can control anything. Well, no, you cannot control nature. There are certain things you cannot control, but destiny is garbage. You're in control of your life. How you want to live it, it's your decision. You want to succeed, then you can succeed. If you want to fail, then you're going to fail. Nobody wants to fail, but it's not everybody tries as much as they should, and that's how they fail. And that really became obvious to me when I was in college, because there were all these people around me screwed up and fucked up on drugs, and their dorms and this and that, and it's like, what are you doing with your lives? It's like, come on, where do you expect to get anywhere in life if this is how you're gonna do it? Because if this is how you're gonna live your life, then how are you gonna do it out in the real world? Because then anyone would think, I'm in college, I'm grown up. Well, no, you're not. You're not grown up. You really aren't. And that's really a shame. And a lot of people think they're grown up. And I don't really think there's ever really a chance where you can be grown up. There's never really a chance to be childish either. A lot of people think I'm still a kid at heart, or, oh, you're a grown up, I'm this, that. No, it really is just, it's just, there's no law of existence that says when a person is a certain thing, like a certain I am of age or something. It just is really what you make of it. Life is truly what you make of it, and some people don't make much of it, I suppose. I guess some people just do not make much of life and don't really care, or they throw around their life and their life decisions, and they don't really get anywhere in life, and I think that's a shame. I think everyone has potential, and a lot of the times it is missed. It is missed. There are hundreds, thousands, beautiful of millions of intelligent people out there who just don't try. They just don't try. In my opinion, an open mind, common sense, an ability to work with others, and a passion can get you anywhere in life. Anywhere. You might not be the next Bill Gates, but you'll be set. At least you're not going to be on the street like some people, living in a who knows where, doing who knows what, enslaved by a system. That's another thing in life. We've allowed our society to evolve into a system where there is maybe a destiny if you think about it, and that is a system, that is economy, that is the modern society, that is a nation's laws, its normalities, that is the destiny that we've formed for certain people, that they will stay rich, or they will stay poor, or they will stay living under these laws, and there's nothing really we can do about it. That is destiny in a sense. If it is real, it is simply society. Society is simply destiny because that is what it's formed around. It's formed around these normalities, these fake concepts where there's nothing in human genetics that says we have to live a certain way, that says we have to use mathematics or use money to control our lives. There's nothing that says that. It's not like we need these things to survive. We evolved as a race to do these things, and it's kind of terrible that we as humans have evolved simply to only possess material wealth and simple things like that. And even as a family viewpoint, even that is kind of strange if you think about it. truly, what are humans? Are they intelligent animals? Can we reason? Can we use logic? Or is it just simply common sense, gut, and determination that allows us to get somewhere? But where are we trying to get? Where are humans trying to get? We've been to the moon. Nobody else wants to go any further. And if there are other places to go, we're never going to get there. Not in my lifetime, not in your lifetime. So what does it really matter? We can go up in the sky, we can go down to the ocean floor, but it's not really going to matter. To the general society, it's barely going to impact anyone. It's only going to impact a certain select group of people. And it's not maybe the rich or the poor, it's more or less just people who care about it. Not everyone's going to care about these certain things, and that's where we have to realize, why as a society have we evolved around the idea of let's go, let's explore, let's travel. We want to explore and travel the space, the sea, conquer and destroy other nations, but yet in fact there's nothing. Is that genetic? At this point, it almost seems genetic for humans to want to expand and explore, which is nothing wrong with exploring. There is nothing wrong with it, but why? Why as humans have we evolved like that? If there's nothing else out there, nothing for us in space besides literally nothing, pure blackness, just not even light, and then on the bottom of the ocean is the same thing. Why do we want to go there? Why? It's not like there's natural resources or anything. It's just general curiosity. There's nothing wrong with curiosity. I approve of curiosity. Curiosity is good, but is it real curiosity? Is this curiosity worth it? Worth the money? Worth the time? Worth the energy? Worth the people? Worth the hope? Getting up all the hopes of thousands of people who might actually care, but do they really care? Or as a society have we just simply evolved to just care about something that we're told is supposed to be important, but yet we do not understand? You can tell a 5-year-old that we've gone to the moon, but the 5-year-old won't care. They don't understand that. I don't really even understand that, really. I didn't see the moon landing. I think I was like maybe only like a few years old when that happened. So like, why do we care? And then why, if we care so much, if we do care, then why haven't we truly done something about it? If we care that every one of us should be trying to get to the moon, every one of us should be trying to explore that dark crevice of outer space, not just a few select individuals who have the money and the resources, but we've given them that money, we've given them those resources and said, hey, you go do this thing for us, we're going to live in society normally, and like normal, but what is normal? But then if we're living in society normally and just plain living in it, why have we let these people do it? It's kind of as if we're enslaved, but at the same time we've enslaved these people to expand our curiosities. Someone could say, yeah, I love science, they don't know shit about it, but they'd love to see humans on the moon or on another planet, but they don't actually understand anything behind it. So it's like, why? What's the point then if you don't understand, then what's the point of caring? Is there a point of caring? I don't know. A lot of things people don't understand and they care about them anyways, they get stupidly passionate about. But passion's a good thing. I think passion is a good thing, but not when passion is used as a weapon, because passion could be used as a weapon for hate and destruction. And that's another thing. We've evolved as humans to have passion. No other creatures on Earth have passions, like can have a passion for anything really besides just to survive. But does that come back from our ideology of just plain organisms trying to survive? Is that just what passion is? But this is our modern, our new way of surviving. As humans evolve, we come up with new ways to survive. In the modern day, an average person doesn't have to worry about food. They have to worry about getting a new job or staying up to date in your trends or whatever. We invent these new these new ways of surviving that are not necessary for the actual survival of human beings. It's not necessary. All these things are not necessary in order to survive as a human. It doesn't make sense why we've let ourselves do that then. The people in charge of humanity have allowed humans to basically not become humans. We're something else. If you think about it, but are we? Or is this what a human is? Because in reality, we're all just organisms, creatures, living beings trying to survive. And if this is our way of doing it, then is this just the human way? Is this just our habitat? Is going to the office every day the equivalent of trying to catch your prey? Is that what it has evolved into? Because we were nomadic peoples. Human beings are nomadic. We traveled around, and that's evolution. But is evolution real? Well, obviously evolution must be real. We didn't just appear and exist. That doesn't make sense. There has to be a way to explain it, and that's another thing. We've also evolved as a society just for surviving. For religion, that's another way of trying to survive. We have to explain everything. Human beings are so curious that they are questioning why they even exist, so they have to explain it in ways they don't understand. Science. People will say, oh, I understand science. Not really. A lot of science is really just theories if you think about it. No one's ever really, for sure seen, who has actually seen an electron or an atom? I don't know, probably somebody. It's been a while since I've taken those classes, but it's can we how much can we actually prove these things? They're just ideas that somebody said, hey, that makes sense, you seem smart, that seems smart, that's a good idea. And then religion is the same thing. We're I need an explanation, and some person comes up with an explanation, but instead of using facts, they use things that will intrigue human beings, like the family, the mind, magic, so have it, things that cannot be explained. We explain it simply by just happening. By just this thing is gifted the ability to create life. How? I don't know. Who gave that creature the ability to grant life? We don't know. Is it even a creature? We don't know. It just simply does, and we don't question it, and that's where we came from. That seems inhumanly stupid if you think about it. If humans have been able to evolve to think scientifically, it seems stupid. It seems inhuman almost just to think like that. But then science at the same time, can we prove it? Well, it really depends on your view of science. It depends on your view of society. It depends on just who you are as a human being. Now, we've gone down a disgustingly large rabbit hole where I have just destroyed science and religion at the same time. I never thought I'd ever do that. I have several times, but never that much. Wow, I'm not really sure what happened there. I don't know. I mean, no. Shit. I guess we should probably wrap this up soon. I apologize there hasn't been another one of these in a while again, because we've been really busy. It's getting pretty stressful here. I guess I'll just finish it out with a one quick story, which kind of connects to what we were doing. So one day, we went, my family, this is when my mother was alive, yada yada, and we went to this museum of fine art. And we could see all this art. We could see all this art. It was weird. It was they had recreations of art there, famous stuff by Da Vinci and stuff. So I was thinking to myself, how could these Renaissance men, they believe in both religion and in science? It doesn't seem to make sense. And I presented this to my mother, and she had no answer for me. And that really puzzled me as a 13-year-old boy. It really puzzled me. How could these people believe in both science and religion? Me, myself, I didn't really know which to believe in. I still don't really know which to believe in, and it just puzzled me. And I asked the director of art there how, and they didn't really they just explained to me that these were intelligent men, and it was just what they did, and it wasn't to be questioned, pretty much. And I was like, well, that's stupid. That's not a good enough answer. So I did some research. I really studied the Renaissance period, the Renaissance era. Throughout my life, I consider myself a Renaissance man myself. But in the end, I really determined that it's kind of just, I don't know. I just don't know. That's the thing about life. Most things, you just don't know. And oftentimes, that can be scary. The unknown is scary. That's why humans invent science and invent religion, and that's why it happens, because we don't know. And so somebody thought to themselves, these Renaissance men, they can do both religion and science. They're so they think they're so smart, they're so clueless, they don't know which is real, that they support both. Isn't that funny? They don't know which is real, so they support both science and religion. Isn't that interesting? Perhaps that is why a science teacher will teach about natural selection, but then they'll go to church every Sunday. Perhaps that's why, because they literally don't know. And that's just how they live, and that's how they need to make it. If they need to make a living teaching about natural selection, but then they don't actually really believe in it for a few hours on Sunday, but then when they get back into the classroom and they drill into their students' minds, they believe it, but then next Sunday they forget about it again? I don't know. They must be very confused. And I think the best thing to do to just get rid of all this unknowing and confusion is we can think about it, sure, but just, so what? So what if one is real, and so what if one is fake? So what if neither of them are really real? So what if both science and religion were simply made up by humans just to explain why we're here in existence? If that is simply it, that's great. Let's just continue living our lives then. I'm Lord Garmadon. Thanks for tuning in, and I know this took a really weird turn, but I just kind of felt like going there today. Hopefully we'll at least get one or two more of these before the end of Tales from the Book, before we're done filming. We're almost done filming. I think we're going to finish, like, maybe even today. If we do, I'll pop back in and say hello to you guys, but I've got to go, so see you next time, guys, and enjoy your day.